Alright guys, so today's the day. We're putting a front mount intercooler on a V2 equipped automobile, which would be this gentleman's Sentra. He's a Patreon campaign person, patron.
Sign up.
It's a thing.
Patreon.
It
is a thing.
I said I wouldn't mention it again, but I'm mentioning it again. So yeah, we're gonna throw the front mount intercooler kit on here, show you guys what you have to do to make it fit this car. It requires cutting an OEM part. So yeah, let's get to it. Alright, so to install the front mount intercooler on this car, we gotta do a few things first, like get the other intercooler out. Typically, I do this from the bottom on the version 1 engines. These version 2 engines, because of this long pipe, it's actually easier to kind of do it from the top, and I will show you why when we get it out. To do that, we're going to have to loosen this headlight up quite a bit. We're gonna loosen the bolts up on this headlight. We're not gonna take the upper radius port off. We're just going to lift it and rotate it forward a little bit to clear the intercooler. So I'm gonna go ahead and do all that and explain what I'm doing as I go. So to get this headlight loose or out, there are 4 10mm bolts. There's one here, there's one in the back that you can see, and there's one hidden under here, which I will show you. So we're gonna take all of those out. And then on this side, we're just gonna take out the top 2 so that it has some room to move. Now, the last bolt for this headlight is kind of hidden. If you look right down below the AC lines, you can actually see it. So what we need to do is take off this air dam and just get it out of the way to get down to that bolt. You're gonna need an extension and a 10mm to get that out. And it's Nissan, so there's clips. Just handle that way. Yeah. Not sure if you guys are going to even be able to see it, but it is right back here. You can see how I'm pushing on that, and the entire headlight's broken. It should just pop right out for you. Like that. So we don't need it out, we just need it sort of out of the way. So there are some 12mm bolts that now need to come out. There's 2 here, one up front, one up top. We're going to take out 2 on this side, just so we have some room to play. Then there are 2 more towards the front of the car that need to come off that release the hood latch assembly so that we can wiggle it up and down, because there is a brace that goes in front of the AC condenser. So to get this front bar off, you actually need to take the impact sensor and take it off. Now be very careful with this. Obviously. If you can, just very, very gently just lean it forward, take the bracket off, then put your 12mm back on to get that bar off. Now once you have that bar off, you're going to take the bracket for the impact sensor and you're just going to put everything back together. You don't want this banging around while you're doing this install. Again, fairly obvious reasoning behind that. And we're going to take that bar and just kind of bend it forward a tiny bit, just so it's not making any contact. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move this out of the way. Again, we're not taking it off, we just need to swing it forward, so leaving everything else hooked up is fine. Just lift, it'll pop out of place. Right there should be plenty. Alright, so now we have clear access to the top of the intercooler. We are about to play with some electrical parts, so we are going to take off the negative terminal on the battery. Alright, so this bit right here is your MAP sensor, manifold absolute pressure sensor. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to unplug it. It's a little squeeze tab in the back in the most inconvenient location ever. Thank you, Nissan. Then there's a 10mm bolt. Just take that off. That. Now the sensor is very expensive and very easy to break, so we're going to remove it and we're going to put it somewhere safe away from the car, away from any chances of us actually damaging it, because I am broke and you're probably broke and you can't afford to replace one of these. So next we need to get this wire loom off of here so that we can actually remove this pipe with the intercooler. So now we have that loom off. It's free floating. And we're ready to take this off. So in the throttle body, or on the throttle body I should say, this pipe is actually held on by a clip. It looks like a giant C-clip. When I get it out, I'll show you how I take it out, but you're gonna wanna have at least 2 screwdrivers on you to do this. You have to release both sides at the same time to get it off. Because that's how Nissan operates. It's like the single most stupidest design ever. I'm sure it installs really quick at the factory, and that's why they did it.
We're like, no, we don't have to take this off.
Yeah, the factory's like automotive technicians. What peons they are. Make them suffer. There it is there. Alright, so now that we have that up and off, we're going to take this elbow off as well. You can use a flathead screwdriver if you don't have the 8mm. I have the 8mm, but I'm too lazy to dig it out. So you gotta just pull it off, pop, it's off. C'est voila. Now to pull the entirety of the intercooler out, we're going to pull our little friend here forward, and we are going to lift and attempt to not damage anything on the way out, because most of you are going to go back to stock at some point anyway. There we go. And she's out. Alright, so the next thing we're going to need to do is we need to move this air dam out of the way so that we can get more access to where the bracket needs to go. Use a flathead screwdriver to just pop that clip, because Nissan loves clips, out of there, and then lift it up and out so that we can just ever so slightly bend it out of the way so we have some more access, just like that. Alright, so now we're going to put our brackets in. We're not going to tighten them up all the way, we're just going to loosely install them. So you have this longer bracket here that I made for these kits. That goes into that hole right there. You can't really see it, it's right in front of the radiator mount, the lower radiator mount. That just bolts right in using the small nut and bolt that is in the kit. And if we come over to this side, you have the smaller bracket, and you're going to want to put that into this hole here next to the big one. There's this little tiny hole that goes in there. Okay, kind of sticks out a little bit. You're gonna have to use a screwdriver to lift up on that bushing to get it under there so it's at the right angle, and that goes in using the large nut and bolt that the kit comes with. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those on. You do not tighten them. The reason for that is you want to be able to move them around so you can adjust your intercooler position and twist things around so you can get everything exactly where you want it to go. Alright, so now there's one of 2 ways you can approach this next part. You can put your couplers on the end and then throw that with the intercooler all in at the same time, or you can do it the way that I'm about to do it, which is actually put the intercooler on and then put the plumbing on afterward. The reason I'm doing this is I want to be able to adjust and tighten these brackets before we go any further to make sure that there's no issues, make sure the guy that sent you the brackets actually did his job, because sometimes he messes up. He's human, occasionally. So we're going to go ahead and slide this in. We're going to start on this bracket. Alright, so I got these brackets on, so now what I'm going to do is tighten everything up. I measured it out, it's slightly off center. But the gentleman creepily standing behind me does not mind. Therefore, that is how it's going. Alright, so now for the fun part, and we're going to put piping on. Your 90-degree pipe that you have, you'll notice has a long leg, a long leg and a short leg. Your long leg is what's going up into the engine bay, so you want to put it together like this. So that is your 180-degree coupler, your straight pipe, your coupler, and your 90-degree pipe. Now this coupler here is in the middle for a reason. Do not have this welded to one piece. The Duke of Juke, who I built the 6-speed 331 horsepower car for, will attest that if you weld this, you will break things. You need some give in this system. The engine moves around a lot, so you need somewhere for this to potentially flex. You also need a cushion in here just in case it hits up against anything. It will stop things from getting damaged. So we're going to put this in as one piece like this. Note, there are no clamps on this. We're going to get it in first, get everything positioned, then we'll go back through and put clamps. You can put the clamps on there loosely if you so desire, but we are not going to do that because I want to be able to move this thing around without scratching anything up. So I'm going to put that in now. Alright, so next we are going to do the other side, which is a 135-degree coupler and a 45-degree pipe. You're going to want to put your pipe in like this, facing backwards. Don't slide it in too far, because you might need to extend it up a little bit. Again, no clamps. We want to get everything fitted before we start clamping things down. So we're going to go ahead and put that on, feed it in through the top, and then it will just pop on. Rotate the pipe as needed. If you have these two pipes rubbing against each other, do not fret. You fix that when you put it on for the final installation. Every single one of you watching this video is currently going, wait, there's no extra pipe and this is all one piece. What are we doing? This is the part that might piss off a few of you. So we are going to cut the OEM pipe because that's what we're going to do. In your kit, if you got it through us, you get this extra coupler. You also get 2 extra clamps. This right here is so that if you need to go in for warranty work or you need to put the car back to stock, you can cut this and then put this on there to hold it back together, factory looking, so that you can get all your parts off the car. That is why we're including this, so that it is reversible in some sense of the word. Otherwise, you can go to Nissan, you can buy just this pipe that costs a couple $100. You're asking, hey, why do you not have a hard pipe? This clip-on system works. You don't want to put a coupler on there just in case it doesn't work. The lip that's on the throttle body isn't all that big. I don't really trust it. Not to mention manufacturing this with a welded piece, it would cost too much money, and I'm here to help you guys not make a fortune. All right, so where are we going to cut? We are going to cut, you have 2 ribs down here and 3 ribs up here. We are going to cut in between these 2 ribs down here and in between these 2 ribs right here. Why are we doing that? Well, we're doing that so that we have something for the coupler to grab onto on this side, okay? So when we put the pipe that's in there onto here, it'll have something to grip onto. And when you put it back together, you have something for this coupler to grab onto. It's very important that you don't just put this coupler onto a smooth piece of pipe. It won't hold it, okay? It will blow off at some point. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut right there using a Sawzall because that is the super American way to do that. So we're gonna go ahead and cut that and show you guys what it looks like after. Okay, so it is a fight, okay? But it goes on over both of the humps, okay? You put a clamp on there, you tighten it down, and me and my buddy here, say hi.
Hi.
Just did a pull test on it. We both leaned and pulled on this thing and it would not come off. It's definitely gonna hold up to the boost pressure. We're sealed up all the way around. That's how that goes on. Again, 2 ribs up top, 1 rib down the bottom. The clamp should be right after the ribs. That stops that from coming off. So that definitely works. This definitely goes on. I'm on that pipe down there. You'll see it looks like it folds in right here when you put it on all the way. It opens up that way when you do it, so it's not losing any overall diameter, so it's not going to affect performance. Calm down. So now we just have to put this hose back on here, and that just pops back on like factory. You got to put your clamps on everything, tighten everything. Now it's important before you take it for a ride, you want to grab the engine and shake it back and forth, or grab the pipes and shake them back and forth, and listen to anything like that. If you have something like that going on, that means you're hitting. Start adjusting your piping and moving things around until it stops doing that. After you get all your piping and clamps on, you put this piece back on just the same way you took it off. Make sure you line up the dowels that are under here for the radiator. Bolt that all back in, put your headlight back on, and throw the car back together. Take the car for a test drive. You're gonna let it warm up, and then you're gonna hit it hard, full throttle. If you're gonna blow a hose off or a pipe, that's when it is going to happen. Okay, so it's very important you do that. If you blow a pipe off, the car's gonna run like crap. It's gonna wanna die on you. Just keep giving it gas, keep giving it running, and you'll be able to get home. I don't recommend driving more than half a mile away from your house. You don't need to drive any further than that to test to see if it's gonna blow off. But otherwise, that is the kit on the car. So that's what it looks like with the bumper off, and then this is what it looks like with the bumper on. All right, guys, so we just took it for a test drive. Everything held up awesome. So this is what the front of the car looks like with the front mount kit. Super stealthy. During the daytime, you might actually see it a little bit better, but fits in there awesome, nice and level. The factory pipe adapter thing held up awesome. Still on there. Again, we did the tug of war test on it and it didn't move, so that's fine. This is still on there. Everything's on there, no rattles or anything like that. So that is how you put the front mount intercooler on Sentra. If you want to know how to take the bumper off, we have a separate video that we put up for that. So check that video out as well. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Make sure you go check out the new website we have up, FastReligion.com. You can get all kinds of merch, decals, and you can also read more about the builds we're doing. In the meantime, why don't you check out these other cool videos that we have going on, and make sure you hit that subscribe button.